So this session starts at 2 p.m. So it's a very exciting session, but it will also be a tough session because it's right after lunch. So please bear with us. Before we start the session, I would like to invite our panelists to the stage. So I would like to invite Aziza Man to join us on the stage. And I would like to invite Dr. Huele to join us. And Vanida and Chanda and Srijana, and then last but not least, Dali. In the middle. Oh, Chanda. Chanda, you're here. Okay, so we will have 90 minutes, now actually 85 minutes, but maybe we can scrape a little bit minutes over the break. So this session, is a gender-focused session. It's a roundtable discussion, and the theme is reimagining equity, shaping the future of gender-inclusive land governance in the Mekong region. So this is a session that will look into what has been achieved so far, and then more importantly, what is the vision for the future? How can we achieve gender justice in land governance in the next 10 years? So our panelists will bring experiences from their work, and they will also bring insights and asking provocative questions, and also questions or points that will hopefully make you want to reflect more about this issue. We will use, along this session, we will use Slido. So at some points, there will be a QR code. So please scan the QR code to join. As you have experienced this morning, there is 2 tabs. There is one tab, question and answer, Q&A. So this is where you can drop in questions. You can also drop in comments or ideas that you have. So it doesn't limit to question. You can also share your own ideas. And you will see also on the right, there is a polls tab. So the polls will be activated when we move along the session. And so you will answer in the polls tab. So first, I would like to introduce our panelists. So we have an all-women panel for a gender session. Usually, we want to achieve gender balance, but I use my executive power as moderator, and I say we can have an all-women panel. As usually, we also feel that when there is an all-men panel that discuss about powerful decisions, then we want to have women included. This time, we will give the stage to women champions and women leaders in their field. So I want to introduce Aziza. So Aziza Man is project coordinator at Oxfam in Cambodia. She is a passionate advocate for positive change, and she believes that transformation begins with individual action. So she currently leads the Responsible Investment and Land Governance Project at Oxfam as part of the Responsible Agriculture Investment Initiative, which is supported by MRLG. In her work, she champions women's leadership and gender inclusion in responsible business practices. Oh, I forgot to move to the... Next, we have Chanda. So Chanda is Communication Officer and Gender Focal Point at Recoft Lao PDR. And she has over 15 years of experience in land and forest governance in Laos. She has conducted impactful research on women's participation in village forest management, which has informed policy and planning processes. She has led remarkable work on developing gender mainstreaming guidelines and integrating gender in forest land tenure procedures. Next, we have Vanida. Vanida is head of secretariat of the Land Information Working Group, and she has over a decade of experience in land governance. She is currently coordinating a network of over 40 organizations, both local and international, that are dedicated to promoting community land rights in Laos. Her work bridges grassroots realities with national advocacy through inclusive, evidence-based policy dialogue, amplifying community voices in decision-making. Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. So next we have Mia Dali Tan from Myanmar. So she is project manager at GRED. So Dali has over 10 years of experience in social research related to agriculture, land, and livelihoods across Myanmar. And she has focused on land governance issues over the last 7 years. Her work especially emphasized research and capacity building for CSOs on land-related topics. She has provided training on customary tenure documentation, participatory action research, conflict-sensitive research and cases documentation, and agroecology. Next, we have Dr. Hui Le, senior researcher and lecturer at the Vietnam National University at the Central Institute for Natural Resources and Environmental Study. Her research focuses on natural research management, land tenure, gender, migration, and climate change. She is currently leading Heroic Journeys, Vietnamese women's eco-trekking tales for climate action, a project that is funded by the British Academy. Then last, we have Srijana Baral, program lead for gender equality and social inclusion at Recoft. And she also has over 15, always forget it, has over 15 years of experience working on gender justice and forest governance, and she has published a wide range of research articles, book chapters, and training manuals on this subject. Her academic credentials and political ecology and rich experience in research make her a steadfast champion in advancing inclusive forest governance and climate action across the Asia-Pacific region. So I would like to move to the first part of this session. So we will discuss about what gender shifts have been witnessed in the MRLG Phase 3 and what are the lessons learned. So in this session, you can join Slido by scanning the QR code, and you can ask questions as our panelists will make their presentation to ask a question or to comment. So I would like to invite Aziza to take the stage for her presentation. You have 7 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining these breakout groups to learn more about gender, and especially all our women panelists here. I think we have a lot to share. And first, I have a short video to show you what have been the achievement of Oxfam working together with the MRLG team. So let's have a look at the video that can describe everything that I may don't need to speak a lot. Okay.
កាលពីមុនខ្ញុំជាអ្នកឯកជនទេកាលពីខ្ញុំអត់បានចូលក្រុមហ៊ុនជីវិតខ្ញុំរៀងក្ររៀងពិបាកអញ្ចឹងដល់ពេលយើងចូលក្រុមហ៊ុនទៅក្រុមហ៊ុនគាត់បានប្រាក់ខែច្រើនគួរសមនឹងយើងនេះទទួលបានអញ្ចឹងគ្រួសារជីវភាពគ្រួសារយើងរៀងធូរធារអត់សូវពិបាកដូចមុនអញ្ចឹងបងដល់ពេលដែលក្រុមហ៊ុនបាញ់ថ្នាំធ្វើឲ្យបោះ10ចោលតាមអូធ្វើឲ្យហូរចូលតាមដងទន្លេអូស្ទឹងធ្វើឲ្យបាត់បង់មច្ឆជាតិពេលដែលសហគមន៍ខ្ញុំបានប្រជុំគ្នាម្ដងរួចហើយពួកគាត់ក៏បានប្រមូល10នឹងសារជាថ្មីឡើងវិញដើម្បីដុតដូចជាពេលដែលគាត់ចូលមកជួសឆាយដំបូងគឺប៉ះពាល់ដល់ចការអ្នកភូមិអ្នកស្រុកហើយមួយទៀតក៏មានចលនាជំរុញឲ្យអ្នកភូមិហ្នឹងគឺគាត់លុកដីនៅក្បែរហ្នឹងដើម្បីឲ្យប្រកបហ្នឹងវិនិយោគនឹងចំពោះផលវិបាកអត្ថប្រយោជន៍វិញគឺគាត់បានចូលរួមនៅក្នុងភូមិដូចជាយើងអំពាវនាវឲ្យគាត់ជួយគឺគាត់ជួយ រាល់ថ្ងៃហ្នឹងខ្លួនខ្ញុំផ្ទាល់ហ្នឹងគឺបានចូលរួមការពារព្រៃឈើតន្តងហ្នឹងបើយើងទុកព្រៃឈើគឺយើងអាចការពារពីជូរពីអីបានចឹងការពារក្តៅដូចជាការខែក្តៅចឹងបើយើងមានព្រៃឈើគឺយើងអត់សូវក្តៅទេយើងការពារបានច្រើនខ្ញុំបានចុះល្បាតជាមួយនឹងក្រុមពួកខ្ញុំដើម្បីការពារព្រៃសហគមន៍ពួកខ្ញុំធ្វើឲ្យកូនចៅចំនួនក្រោយបានដឹងពីព្រៃសហគមន៍ដែលពួកយើងបានការពារឥឡូវធ្វើឲ្យកូនចៅចំនួនក្រោយបានយល់ដឹងអំពីផលប្រយោជន៍របស់ព្រៃឈើទី1គឺយើងបានទៅចុះល្បាតដើម្បីសិក្សាពីជីវៈចម្រុះដូចជាកត្តានៅសត្វហើយមួយទៀតគឺយើងចុះល្បាតនេះដើម្បីជួយទិដ្ឋស្កាត់បទល្មើសផ្សេងៗដែលមាននៅក្នុងតំបន់ព្រៃសហគមន៍ក្នុងតន្តងហ្នឹងសម្រាប់ខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យយុវជនចំនួនក្រោយបន្តការការពារនិងចុះល្បាតព្រៃហ្នឹងឲ្យបានគង់វង្សដូចដែលខ្ញុំចុះនឹងសាធុឲ្យដល់ទៀតថ្ងៃអនាគតចង់ឲ្យព្រៃក្នុងសហគមន៍យើងនៅគង់វង្សអត់មានប្រជាពលរដ្ឋកាប់ចការឬក៏កាប់បំផ្លាញអី
Thank you for watching, and I would like to say that this is very exclusive screening of this video because it just finalized last couple of weeks and it has not been released yet. So this is very exclusive. And one more important thing that I would like to emphasize about this video, under Oxfam implement the project called Responsible Agriculture Investment through a co-financing between the MRLG project with other project called Fair for All. So this project is a co-financing that we influence the private sector to be more responsive. And in this particular case, we are working with the Vietnam rubber groups, and you can see the logo of the female worker. So we leverage and motivate them to be gender responsive business model. And this will be more elaborate in tomorrow's session, the same time, the same room, about how the VRG have been motivated to be gender responsive in the business model. On the other side, you can see about the younger generation of the indigenous people have been taking very active participation in protecting their natural forests, especially the community forestry that just next to the rubber plantation owned by the private sector. So this project, we are engaging with the younger generation, especially women, to be more active involved in protecting their natural forests and land that is very embedded into their cultural, customary practice of indigenous people in Cambodia. So as you can see in the video that they are really keen to be part of the conversation project and to be protective to their natural forest. And they really appreciate, and especially the young women and girls, they feeling more empowered to be active, to be say about the issue and demand for the protecting from all the stakeholders. So they realize that without forest, there will be impacted from climate change, from heat, and especially the indigenous people, they are really depending on the non-forest timber product in the forest. That's why a young girl stand up and joining as a steering committee of the community forestry and join patrolling with other men in her community to be able to protect her resources. So this is what have been achievement in the past intervention under the MRLG project that Oxfam made in Cambodia.
Okay, thank you, Aziza. Once again, if you have comments, questions, you can use the Q&A tab in the Slido. So now I would like to invite Chanda. Chanda will present the first part of the following presentation, and then Vanida will follow with a few slides. So I would like to invite Chanda, wherever you are comfortable, so it can be at the podium so you can see the slides, or here in
Good afternoon. First of all, thank you so much for giving me a chance to learn and exchange with you together. And I would like to introduce the project that implemented by RECOP, Lao PDR. Our project is under MRLG phase 3. Okay. So the rationale of this project implementation, because we recognize about how important of the gender and why the gender matter in the process of the recognitions of the land tenure, especially for the land for in the forest land. And the first thing, like we are concerning about the climate change, because climate change and the forest governance is really important impact to the women, especially for the ethnic women. And also the women is the key important actors that play the role with the land tenure and also the forest management. And in some part of our country, some ethnic, they also practice the customary system that some ethnic minorities, they only allow the men can practice the inherit for the property, especially for the land and house something. And we concerning about the tenure recognition process that especially for the participatory land use planning and also village forest management planning that open for the gender integration, that this one is the potential opportunity, and also the application of the ASEAN guideline principle. Yeah, so the project implemented about a year since 2024 to 2025, and it cover many steps that since the beginning of review the relevance law and also the gap that in the country, and also decide the gender integration method, and another important part is the decide the training guideline and working process together with the stakeholder and partners, And after that, we organize the training for the government officer in the provincial level, and also include the central, provincial, and district government officer that who involved in the process of the PAP and VFMP. And after that, we review the result, testing the training guideline in the field village, and after that, we document and review together in the reflection workshop together with all stakeholders in the central level. And finally, we approve the guideline. So this is the process of our work. And from that, what is our achievements? Our achievement, like the first thing that we have the training guideline on gender integration in the land tenure recognitions in forest land, and this one is already approved. And also the gender checklist that they, like the staff or the government officer that can use during the field work, and to make sure how women involvement and in decision making and also participate the activity. And also the during the field coaching that we implemented, we can capacity to government staff that can lead the process of the technical part, as if we compare before, they never involved in the technical part before. So this one is one achievement that we see they have more capacity to involve in the technical team, and they can lead the activity in other villages as well. And also awareness raising activity, we can awareness about the gender for the community. And finally, in the we have the recommendation and integrate in the gender in the procedure guideline, and this one we can empower the role of the Lao Women Union, that they lead this process and approve the guideline together. So, but from that work, we also have the challenge, like for example, like cultural practice is the big barriers for us, and also limit recognitions of the women in leadership role, and also the timing and also the communication in the local level, especially for the village. So another challenge is the consistency and also the monitoring and evaluation. So this one is our work, yeah. I think time is up. Yes. Thank you.
Maybe you can help to click. I'll try to be short as well. So as introduced by our moderator, the Land Information Working Group is actually a network of over 40 organizations working in the land sector. So that's why we have a very specific mandate that we are working together with MRLG, especially to facilitate the networks. And by that, we have our own approach to promoting women land rights. First, we established the Committee of Practice, or COP, focusing on women land rights, because we believe that for such sensitive issues, or it needs a dedicated space for the members of LIWG to have a dedicated space for focus on specific thematic topics. So the COP's mandate is to really collectively develop the tools and materials that would be used by the members of the COP and implemented at the community level. And the tools are currently focusing more on awareness raising and legal educations on land and natural resources rights to the communities. And we also use that platform to provide capacity building through the trainings to COP members, and so that they can implement at the community level with quality. And for the achievements, so we have strengthened the capacity of the CSOs through the network. So the network is really driving the collective actions and share resources for women land rights. We have developed the practical tools and capacity that is provided to the CSOs. We co-created the tools that focus on awareness raising, education, and community engagement. And the tools is actually used to trigger a community dialogue, so between women and men and all the other stakeholders inside the communities to reflect on the gender norms and how they want to foresee the changes within the communities so that the land governance at the community level is more inclusive. And by that way, we also amplifying women's voices and support them in to be the active agents in land governance and initiating changes from within. The lesson learned, we see that there is a need to go beyond inclusions. There is the intersectionality that is matters here. We need to talk about the ethnic communities. We see that one size doesn't fit all, and we have to have the tools that tailor to that diverse communities level. Co-creations of the tools can build ownership. CSOs as a driver, and the visibility of the CSOs will be a very important driver for them to engage in policy reform and then bringing the local reality to national level. That's thank you.
Thank you, Vanida. Okay, so next we will have Dali. So Dali, you can use the pointer to move the slide forward. And you can, yes, at the podium or at your slide, at your seat. It's
Good afternoon, everybody. Today, I would like to present the key shift in gender dynamics we witnessed during the third phase of Myanmar MRLG. I will focus not only what changed, but also on the success of strategy that drove these changes. Let me start with a quick overview of our MRLG main goals and approach. Our ultimate goal is, this is with a very emphasis on gender dynamics. Our ultimate goal was clear, to ensure the customary tenure resource rights of women and men, especially they are recognized and protected. Our strategy will be focused on the capacity building program. We enhance Myanmar CXO and also the gender organization to engage effectively on city issue. Moreover, we have the other two key priorities. The first one is to enhance meaningful involvement of women in natural resource management. The second one is to share evidence-based policy on appropriation, focusing on customary tenure, climate justice, and gender, etc. On building this foundation, our MRLG workstream works developed to enhance Myanmar CXO and community to support the recognition and those rights. And our main key outcome was to enhance the ability of Myanmar CXO and other key stakeholders to promote and protect our city rights. To make this happen, we implement gender action plan. If I have to highlight with three key shifts what MRLG did during the phase one. The first one, we successfully moved from just hearing demand to systematic mainstreaming. The second one is we MRLG shift the development of successfully shift the development of gender knowledge-driven network with a very valuable technical support of Record TC. We established a very powerful gender champion network across the Mekong region. Now these gender champions are driving in gender inclusion for their community and for their project implementation. Lastly, but crucially for sustainability, we didn't just say about the gender in our training or in our workshop. We embedded those perspectives into our core technical resources. When we developed the TOT manual, we put gender information. What we consider the research and documentation reports, we already consider with the gender land and put information about the gender. This is for our sustainability, because after that, our direct engagement, we just want to make sure to pass the information for now use. If I have to say again what MRLG deeply worked during the MRLG Phase 3, MRLG implemented multi-state level capacity building program, both nationally and regionally. In that capacity building program, our partner, Record TC and Oxfam, and also the CARE, they are also giving the technical input to strengthen or to have an advanced knowledge of gender and land right for their partner and create a connection among the Mekong region. After implementing those multi-state level capacity building program, our alliance can integrate gender in our project implementation and also the research and documentation activity. This is very significant and fantastic work, because we Myanmar couldn't implement the gender training during the MRLG Phase 2. Not like the other country. So during the Phase 2, we are a little bit limited consideration of gender inclusion in our works. So that phase is very significant and fantastic work, integrating and mainstreaming gender in our oral project implementation activity. If I have to conclude, MRLG used a step-by-step approach. The first one is foundation training to all. And another one is creating a building network. And the third one is they raise the experts, and also they are also training this expert like a gender champion who could support to other people during our MRLG project or beyond the MRLG project. Yeah, this is our activity and success strategy for the Myanmar MRLG phase. Thank you so much.
Can I have the pointer? Thank you, Dali. I would like to then invite Dr. Hui to provide some feedback on what you have heard from the three countries. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you. To be honest, that while sitting here listening to you, I don't know what to say because you have done a great job. I would like to congratulate all of the speakers for what you have done and what you have done not only for the women that this project is focusing on, but also for the local communities and for your country. So I'm really impressed with all the presentations. So the question now is, how to move forward, because we have heard a lot about, gender shifts. For example, like in the case of Laos, we heard about gender integration in tenure recognitions process, and then we heard about the case of Cambodia, where women, young girls, just participated in the steering committee in the forest protection group, which is a very rare. For example, in the case of Vietnam, women are not allowed to participate in the patrolling group because, all of the men think that women are very weak physically, so they are excluded, from this group. But your case is, great. It's an excellent case study. And for the case of Myanmar, you talk about, like a gender, women just, participated in gender knowledge network and also the technical systems. I mean, that's great. So I think for the case of Myanmar, because I was there last August, I participated in a training entitled Gender and Land Governance in Myanmar. And at the training, we took the opportunity to talk about how to develop GAP, Gender Action Plan, and we discussed what the key points are that should be considered at each stage, and also provided the participants with guidelines and key points to note during the process of development of GAPs. However, the participants thought that it was new to them because it depends a lot on their capacities. People came from different backgrounds. So it was hard, to bring all of the participants, onto the same page. But they thought that, it would be very nice to have like additional exercises or further discussion later on. And some of the participants, I was so impressed because people had to come a long way to the place where we organize a training. And some of them, they said that they need to do research on gender and customary issues. I was so impressed because in this middle of nowhere, people talk about research because your country was, and still now going through a lot. And then they just talk about land tenure and about what, they can eat tomorrow. But, now they said, no, we need to do research because we cannot make any intervention if the research is not done. I was, it was great. So my question to you is whether any research on gender and customary issues have been done since last year, and also because people were very interested in GAP. So I look at the MRLG phase 3, and GAP is just like the output. So if GAP, I would like to ask if GAP has been developed in our country yet. If it is the case, what are the challenges? And for Cambodia, I have a question for you, because I think it is a great case study, but how can we sustain this kind of change? How can you integrate? Because I think that in order to, sustain this kind of change, you need to integrate into like a legal framework or regulations that would be endorsed by the local government. Because I think this case study, it really needs to scale up, but in order to do that, we need like a policy to back you up. So my question to you, whether that be possible to do that or not. And for the Laos case, you said in your presentation, you said that local norms and beliefs hinder women's participation in many activities. So my question to you is that, because I think that local customs are not static, they need to change over time as well. So in order to integrate local customs into the legal law or something like that, what needs to be done? Do we need to change the mindset of the man, or we need to change the discourse of the national government? So that's my question to you. And I have a question for Chinda. Because you said, it's great to watch your slides. So my question to you is that, is it easy to create space for CSOs? Because I think that CSOs, play a very important role. For example, they facilitate the dialogue between like NGOs with the local government, and they really push things to move forward. So what kind of space would be good for the CSO so that they could just, facilitate that kind of process? And what kind of tools that would be needed to help, the local governments or NGOs to address the conflict in land tenure? Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I will ask maybe Dali, since the first question was to you, so you can quickly clarify.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hui. Actually, during the phase 3, we conducted the research with a very focus on women role and responsibility for the land governance and management. So, this is we conduct very like a gender study, especially in the Nagaland. You might already aware of it. We have the 135 ethnic people. So the situation is not much the same from one place to another or from one ethnic people to other. But we conducted as a very focused gender study in Nagaland. And moreover, when we do the city documentation, we integrate gender information in our documentation process. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hui. For Oxfam, of course, sustainability is very important. And because of this, Oxfam had worked with the private sector company to co-finance, establish the community by register them into community forestry scheme that is protected by the law of Cambodia. So when the community forestry been registered and recognized by the law, the committee was also recognized by the law. So they form up the steering committee that consists of men and women, part of the steering groups, and it has been and it will be recognized by the law and through financial support from the company that are investing in that area. So this is how we see that it will sustain the groups, the community forestry, and also the forest that existed there.
Okay, before I ask Jenda to answer, I just want to tell Aziza that there is actually a question in the Slido that asks about what are the challenges of community forestry that are close to the rubber plantation. Will this community forestry convert into rubber plantation? So it's not a gender-related question, but I wonder if this is a question that you can answer tomorrow?
No, because tomorrow we discuss some other thing, but
Okay.
I can answer
right
now.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, actually this forestry used to be, in the past, it used to be a natural forest in that area, but when the company came in, they received the economic land concession from the government. That time, the concession coverage everything over there, but because the community have been benefit from that forest, they are advocate to cut that forest area from the concession. And seeing that, of course, the indigenous community, they have been fighting, they are not just call for a cut, but without advocacy with the company, with the government, it will not happen. So at the end, the company decided to cut that part of forest from their concession and gave it to the community to use. And later on, because we also concerned that the forestry that are not putting under any protection by the law, there will be a lot of illegal logging. And that's why Oxfam and our local partner, we work together to register that forest into the community forestry scheme. And we put the obligation to the company not to encroach to the forest, but you have a responsibility to protect the forest. So they will be act as a observer to keep monitor the transportation of any forest product across their rubber plantation.
Okay, thank you, Aziza. So, Jenda?
Thank you for your question, Dr. Hu. I would like to respond like we need to facilitate like facilitations and create the space for the gender integrations. For example, like what for the facilitate and create the space, like it's quite difficult and take a long time to change the mindset, and also in the customary practice in some area, especially with the thing that they practice very long time. Yeah, but we try to change the mind by empower the women and try to create the awareness raising in the community. This one is more focused on the community members to aware about the women's rights and their role, and also encouraging women to to see about their role and the opportunity to empower themselves and more brave to participate. And also awareness raising and for the community members, for example, like men, as I mentioned, like is gender power shifting between men and women, and this one is we try to do that through the facilitations and create the space for women. And when we awareness raising, and in the same time we try to coaching. So coaching is one thing that need to ensure that the step and the process is implemented and as the guide, and also need to make sure that we elaborate the sample when the community, when we are talking about the gender and try to empower the women role is quite far from them. But when we create the example for them, for example, like starting from the technical team, like we need we empower and let them lead the step, and then this one we see the change in the real practical, like more women involved in discussion without like we forcing them, but they see the example. So this one is very important to give some example when they see the change and the another change follow. So another one is about the how to link between the custom practice between to the policy. So this one is our work that we need to focus and in Lao PDR as well. For example, like in the process of the 10-year recognitions, for example, like land legislation, this one even like we not mentioned the women name in the law, but in the legislation, sub-legislation, that we try to include that in the process. So this one is one example that we try to, we know our context, and we try to develop the legislation's procedure, how to address the gap that we have in the local community. And this one is good example, and in our target village, and then we encourage the women to have the name in the land title. This one can be one level that we ensure that they have the right, equal right to the document, the 10-year document. And another one that we implemented it, like the procedure guideline that I mentioned, is one thing that can be a guide or maybe the tool for the maybe partner, development partner, and also the project, or also the government itself to implement in the future. And this one will be ongoing in the next future, and the rest of the village that we need to meet of our target village. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chanda. Vanida, before you answer Dr. Hui's question, I just want to raise, there is a question from Slido. What are the types of issues that you discuss within the COP based on activities of your members?
All right, so I now have two questions. So I'll try to answer to Dr. Hui's questions first about the CSOs and the COPs. There are a lot of challenges actually to mobilize the CSOs through the community of practice. And actually the COPs is the solutions for that, because when we talk about land governance, it's actually a very large issues, right? Very large thematic areas. That's why it touch upon a lot of smaller things. That's why for us, establishing dedicated space through the COP, focusing on specific thematic areas, in this case on women land rights, is a very strategic ways of engaging and mobilizing the CSOs in Laos. So they have a space to discuss the sensitive issues, and collectively, more importantly, is to collectively using their own experience on the ground to build the tools that fit them, and then they can implement it within their target communities. The space available, that is actually very important, because COPs or the CSOs cannot work without engaging with other stakeholders. In this case, we have to work with the government, we have to work with private sector, we have to work with also donors as well. That's why we see observations on LIWG is we see the work of CSOs, it's pretty much limited now at the moment on providing awareness raising. So we provide awareness raising, bridging the legal information gaps from the legal framework in Laos to the communities. But we also believe that there are a lot more to be done. For example, developing practical tools linking with the ongoing emerging issues like the land conflicts, the issues around gaps in tenure recognitions, or land grabbings, or like the impacts on land-based investment and other type of investment. That's why the COP is trying to go beyond awareness raising, but linking the work of the promotions of women land rights into these ongoing issues, and then embed or integrate in these other work, like what Asisa is doing on RAI, but then promote the integrations of the promotions of women land rights into those kind of procedures. And I think that is also related to the questions from from the Slido, that we are not just operate one COPs. We actually operate other COPs as well. Another one is actually on responsible agriculture investment. I will be speaking on that tomorrow as well. That's why these strategic establishment of the COPs are quite relevant for LIWG, linking the work on women's land rights into the most pressing issues on the impacts of land-based investments, and we are trying to link that. And another thing that we are doing now, in the near future, it's linking with policy platform. So we are proposing to the government under their national mechanisms on policy reforms, we call focal group on women land rights. This will be embedded directly under the Ministry of Land administrations of the Ministry of Agriculture and Environment. It is agreed in principles, and this will be venue for the CSOs leveraging voices and reality on the ground for policy dialogues and policy reform. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Vanida, and thank you to our panelists for the presentations, and for Dr. Rohe for the additional questions to explore deeper on what has been achieved and about sustainability. So next, we will talk about the future. So it's more about visioning, and it's about what the transformations that are needed to deepen gender justice in land governance. So once again, we have a Slido poll. So the Slido poll will be activated. So this is a word cloud. So you can participate. We would love to hear from you. So you can say in one word or one phrase that describes what needs to happen to achieve gender justice in land governance in the Mekong region. So don't forget to go to the polls tab and to answer that question. So in the meantime, Srijana will give a presentation on that subject, and I would like you to continue to input in the word cloud, so that at the end we can see what are your thoughts. So, okay, so Srijana, do you need the...
Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share my few opinions on gender justice transformation in land governance for the next decade. And we all have heard a lot about the context here, but I would like to re-say some of those context and issues that are hindering us in gender transformative journey in land governance process. So legal ambiguity and pluralism are some of the major ones, and starting from the top-down approach, it seems like, because I'm like, in many cases, policies, when we have a favorable policy, the policy will help a lot of changes in the practices. So when there are ambiguities and pluralism in the policy processes, where the existence of statutory and customary tenure exist together, sometimes conflicting as well, and when they are unclear and contradictory, there is a room for different forms of interpretations that can happen. And when there are different forms of interpretation that takes place, like the local communities, especially the women and indigenous communities, are the ones who feel more insecure because their voices are like limitedly heard. And when it comes to differences between the statutory and customary tenure recognition processes, it's more driven by the customary tenure practice is more driven by the local communities, the way they have been practicing, for example, practicing the inheritance, practicing the shifting cultivation practices. So it's the villages, the traditional practices that recognize it, while the statutory is more state recognized. And in both the cases, especially in the customary tenure systems, the patriarchal systems, the cultural norms often like play over, and that often grants women limited access to the land. And mostly it's through the male relatives, male partners, and that might also, they might also lose their rights when they are divorced or when they are widowed. So it basically flows through the man's window there, and women have very limited access to the processes. Even in the countries where we have a lot of good practices of having collective forest management through community forestry, community protected areas, or village forest networks, then we do have issues even in issuing the joint land titles, because there are a couple of ministries involved, couple of different stakeholders involved, that doesn't provide a nice, safe and secured space for women to participate. Similarly, there are gaps between de jure and de facto equality in the process of recognizing women's role and gender transformative actions. Obviously, like many of our policies are, they do recognize gender equality and women's role and rights in the land processes, but some of our policies are gender blind and sometimes quite discriminatory towards women as well. So there are times when we try to make it more responsive, make the policy processes more responsive, and making the de jure equality more achievable compared to the de facto one. But when it comes to de facto, the women are always considered, the rural women specifically are considered the more vulnerable to achieving what they can. They actually do not achieve the equal gender rights, like land rights, and more on the gender equality. And this is also the case because like land is often described as man's issue, and this man's issue or the man's space is not safe for women to go there and be talking about the land rights that they actually have. In addition to this, the investments, especially when it comes to land concession or when it comes to commercial land-based opportunities, it definitely has a greater biasness to the de facto inequality existing there. In addition, all of these things are fueled by the gendered social norms and the practices that have been there for long. And even in the matrilineal systems, the decision-making power, even though the women might have the ownership over the land, but then the decision-maker process is often questioned. So what would we do? And I'm taking this climate justice, I'm taking this from the climate justice framework for action developed by UN Women in 2023, and it basically focuses on the gender justice framework. So the most important thing is redistribution of resources, not only in terms of titles, land titles, and allowing people to exercise their land rights, but it's also important that we ease the procedures for getting the ownership over the lands. And it's also more about the financing. The resources comes with the financing. When there is no right to the land, there is also no right to the financial resources. In addition, the joint land titles should have a good rationale, should have a gender equitable rationals there. In addition, recognition of the multiple intersecting factors of discrimination is very important. I've been hearing this, the discriminations and the intersecting factors. There are several intersecting factors that hinders women, especially belonging to the poor, marginalized, or indigenous community. So often what we do, we keep women as a homogeneous group and fail to understand diverse factors that actually limits representation or participation in different forms. The other thing is like we should be providing social safeguard measures and create opportunities, create economic opportunities for the women so that they can be economically empowered while also enhancing the women agency by breaking the barriers. That's also equally important. And many times, we fail to recognize the care economy. The women's role is more considered as a non-economic factor, but then it should be considered, it should be recognized, and she should get help, or it should be shared. The care economic responsibilities that women face should be either it should be considered as an economic activity, or she should be the shared role out of there. So other than that, it's very important we recognize their existence, we recognize women as an equally stakeholder in land governance, be it for agriculture, be it for forestry or anything, and recognize that they hold very important knowledge forms, and their knowledge and the practices is very important for sustaining our intervention. So participation, their participation is equally very important. Apart from them, women have been like mostly they are just sitting, or like it's women present only context, but then representation or meaningful representation is very important. So providing them this safe space to talk, safe space to share their opinions without being judged is very important for the transforming the gender justice thing. In addition, like they should be part of the policy making process and also the part of the better implementation of any activities that we actually carry out. The interventions that we design and we implement should have acknowledged the differences, impacts or differences that it might have on different groups of people, including women. And it's also very important we have the mechanisms to redress injustices. And the last one is reparation, because women have struggled throughout the history in different forms and different ways. So I would emphasize having tailored programs and capacity building programs specifically for women and also for men, because it's very important that men and women understand the equity and equality that leads to a better world. So capacity building on the technical terms as well as the soft skills. Even some people, they have the capacity, the technical capacity, but they do not have confidence to like go in the front of the people, go in the mass, or they don't have that space to even participate and like express themselves. So I think it's very important we also provide them the soft skills. And most importantly, finance, investing on women, investing on their rights, investing on how we can empower them is very important for us. So how I would like to conclude is that gender justice in land governance is enduring equitable access, control, and ownership of land and natural resources. So gender equity is a continuous process. So it evolves, and it should be co-evolving, co-created, and I again reiterate that nothing has a one-size-fits approach. Even if we are talking about gender equality, we need to take this specific context and into the considerations to design different gender-specific programs for gender justice. Yes, thank you very much, and I'm sorry for taking longer than anticipated.
Okay, thank you, Srijana. May I have the pointer, pointer back? Thank you for your intervention, Srijana. So we'll go back to the word cloud just to see what has been the inputs from the floor. So it should show. Okay, yeah. So here is showing what transformations are needed. So there is a lot, but I see that the big one is education. And then I see that there is a lot of other things that need to happen. So training, maybe training can fall under education. And also like spaces, like I see there is like a gender cafe. So like to create spaces for gender discussions. I see also like male champions and even like more feminist male champions and allies. So really engaging men in the discussion and in advancing gender equality. And yeah, I see like space for empowerment, so that's what we discuss. But also like institutionalization of gender sensitive approach, things that relates to systems, so legal framework. Yeah, there's a lot like budget, like Srijana mentioned, financing. So this is very interesting, and it shows that it aligns with what we are discussing right now. Because of time, we see that there are some questions that have been brought up, but because we are now at 3:10 and we are supposed to finish at 3:35 because we started 5 minutes late. So I would like to keep those questions for the next roundtables. Maybe we can include them at that time. So the next question, it's about the strategic interventions, and maybe this has been already covered previously. But again, you can join the Slido, and then we ask you, it's an open-ended question, so you can share as much as you want. What are your thoughts on that question? So the question is, what are innovative approaches to advance gender equality in the Mekong region? So here it's, please share innovative approaches. So the question will still be open while we have the roundtable discussion on this question, on the strategic interventions that are essential to advance gender justice. So I would like to turn to our panelists, and if there is a volunteer who would like to share. Oh, you want first? No problem. Please go ahead. You have about 1 minute and a half.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. This one is related to the RECAP Lao PDR as well. Like we taking the role quite more recognized with the government, and we have a good relationship with Department of Forestry, and so that's why we are involved in the process of the village forest management planning and also PRAP. And so I would like to answer the questions. Like the strategic is like we more focus to empower the women role. So empower the women role in the community structure. For example, like we emphasize to at least when we organize the village forest management committee, we need to have at least 3 women involved. So this one is the baseline, or maybe the one indicator, that we have when we implement the VFMP, and with the target village that about more than 600 villages in future. We hope that we will succeed, and also the leadership inside the ministry of the women technical team as well. And also another one need to make sure that the decision making more inclusive in the community level and also in the central level as well. For example, like we have the women and more emphasize for women and especially for ethnic women in the community, more involved and make decision in the decision process. Yeah, thank you. Not only participate.
Vanida, you want to go?
I thanks that from the word cloud there's a word education, because in Laos, let me read this number. The literacy rate of women is 68.8, but when it comes to rural areas, with road access, it dropped down to 60.5, and without road is 46.9. And in Chinese Tibetan ethno-linguistic group, it's 34. Mon Khmer 47, Hmong Mien it's 54, but Lao Tai is 80. And when it comes to poor communities, it's dropped down even further to 33. So this is the reality that we need to actually take into considerations. That's why I think awareness raising, taking into account these literacy rate of communities is very important. And that's why we need to think about the innovative way of providing information to communities through like posters, easy format for communities to digest the videos and something like that. And that is what we are trying to do in Laos as well. And that is not just the awareness raising, but I mentioned about the practical tools. We are also promoting the very, solutions for the communities through provisions of legal counselings embedded within the communities by building the community-based village mediation committee, but also the customary ways of, providing mediations and conflict resolutions within communities by providing the capacity building for them. And linking that to the policy reform, documentations of the women's land rights will be very important. We often say that there's gender norms, but there are also positive and negative sides of the gender norms. For the positive, we should, promote that, right? And the harmful one, then we trying to find the way to stop that kind of gender norm. But importantly, that those kind of things should be documented and turned into powerful policy tools that we can use for policy advocacy, as well as accessing financial support from donors. I think that's my point. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So anyone else would like to share? Srijana, yes.
Okay, yeah, I think I did a lot already, but I again want to emphasize that land, when it comes to land, recognition is very important, not only in land, but in the society itself. Recognition that women are equal stakeholder, and recognition that gender equality or gender equity is not equals to women. It's a common, basic human right. And with that, we will be able to get a just world. So land has a very close relation with the local communities, the rural households, the women who is very attached to the land. And it's a pity that she doesn't has the ownership, she doesn't has a voice when it comes to land. I think recognizing that voice is very important. And to do that, there is not a single pathway to do that, right? So different, like for example, the organization that I come from, RECOFT, has been capacitating people belonging to diverse stakeholder groups. From the local level, we have country program offices in 7 countries. From the local level, grassroots, to the policymakers and to the regional policymakers as well. So the interventions has to be bottom up, but starting from the grassroots. So in that way, I think it's possible that that could be a strategy where like we co-develop and the justice, so to co-evolve, should not be forced. When it co-evolves, it's co-warned and co-produced, leading to justice.
Asifa, you want to go? No? Or Dali? Okay, Dali, and then Dr. Hui would like.
I would like to a little bit highlight about the rules of the GENA, or like a capacity building program that the previous panelists already mentioned. That when we say the gender equality or equity, we shouldn't be positive to learn about that when we are adult. It should be when we are young. We also need to be mainstream in our academics to aware the gender issue. And also, this would be a very complicated issue. So we also have to define several key stakeholders. Okay, the policy, the people who are working for the policy development. Okay, how do we deploy or provide the awareness session or raising their agenda knowledge? So we have to divide the different stakeholder and also different levels of the capacity raising, or maybe trying to think about how they raise their agenda knowledge in reality. So I really would like to highlight to poke some of the innovative idea for the academics as well. Thank you.
I would like to follow up, with her because I think we have to take, for example, like a culture, ethnicity, for example, into consideration when you want to make, like an intervention. So I would like to give you an example. A few years back, DFAT just funded a big project in north of Vietnam. The project aimed to empower women through economic activities, especially agricultural production and tourism. So they focus only on women. So they invited women to go to training and sent them to different exchange visit or something like that. So once I interviewed a Hmong woman, I asked her, do you want to be empowered? And what empowerment means to you? And she's like, I don't want to be empowered. Because the community would look at, down upon me if I'm empowered. That means they said that I'm not good. So in her Hmong community, husband and wife always go to work together. They go to the market together to do things together. Yeah. So if I am better than my husband, I'm not good. So that means, when you talk about gender, not only women, it's both men and women. So for the next phase, for the following phase, DFAT just changed their policy. They wanted to focus both on women and men, not only women, because if the husband doesn't allow the woman to go to training, it doesn't work. And second, the women, they don't speak the Vietnamese very well. So if the husband come together, the husband will translate for the wife. And when they come home, they do things together. So that worked, So I think whenever we want to do any intervention, we should take culture into consideration. What would be good for the women and what would be good for the community and the family as well. If we want to take the family as a unit, it's not only the woman as a single person. So I think that would work because in the family, the woman becomes like a member of the family. Of course, it's very important. But if we work with both men and women, I think that would work.
Thank you, Dr. Hui. Aziza, you wanted to share something?
Yes, actually in Slido already have a highlight about the education, and I totally agree. And this is what also Oxfam looking into our strategic intervention. But I would be stepping a little bit that because we are working with the private sector and capacity building and education provide to the private sector is also very essential because especially the senior leader, they have to better understand about gender concept. Otherwise, they couldn't provide a strategic direction, a long-term strategy of investment that include gender into their business. So we are working toward the gender responsive business model. That's a leverage point to make a private sector to be able to contribute more and especially to make their business more gender equality and equity. Because, women, it's the tone is soft, but it is very powerful. So this is also the angle that we can entry for effective advocate with the private sector as well when they feel like they are unable to engage with the civil society organization because of we always pursue as a hard advocacy approach. So using the gender entry point also is a very effective. So I think this is a very interesting, and also the continuous advocacy, capacity building is very also very important, especially when working with the private sector and also policy level.
Okay, thank you, Aziza. So I would like to go to the Slido, so also you can see what has been shared. Oh, I cannot scroll down. But if you join to the Slido, you can see all the response in the series, the results. But there are a lot of interesting propositions. So I see one is very long. So someone took the the opportunity to share a lot. But yeah, like so someone mentioned also about education and women empowerment. But also maybe using technology and digitalization. And I see there is another session that is about gamifying technology. There is, intersectionality and inclusion to really work on this. And there are then also very concrete programs that are undergoing and that are working. But yes, I can see that there is a lot about education. So education on gender and gender equality for both men and women that is needed. And so I would like to go to the next next question, which is about addressing intersectional challenges. We have about 10 minutes before the end of the session. So you can also, not yet the Slido, but our question will be about how to better address intersectional challenges in land governance. So these challenges that are related to indigenous people, to ethnic minorities, to people with disabilities, to people who live in poverty, and people of diverse gender identity as well. So I would like to throw this question in for the panelists. So if you have any thing that you would like to share, like how to better address those challenges in land governance. There is also a question in the Slido that I think might relate. It's a question that asks how to balance customary tenure recognition and promotion of gender in tenure. Maybe it relates to the social norms and the cultural norms that are prevalent in indigenous communities. So how to do that? Respect the customary rights and indigenous belief, and then promote at the same time gender. Vanida, you want to go ahead?
Yes. I can go ahead as well. There was a research actually in Laos, although very limited, but the research was about the governance structure and the gender system, the gender structure system within communities. For example, in Laos, it's actually considered relatively high decision-making power among women. We have communities that are based on matrilineal system, and also the communities that are based on patrilineal system. And that research was actually interesting because it actually mentions the matrilineal system as the way to reinforce the power of women in the decision-making and land governance within the communities. And in contrast to that, it also pointed an argument on the current schemes on tenure recognitions or formalizations of tenure of communities. For example, within the law context, we have this requirement that within the procedures of land titling and registrations to have both names of men and women, husband and wife in the titles, which if done, that could also be an adverse, provide an adverse impact as well. Because for some communities that are using the material systems, they are actually providing tenure security for women, especially and also the inheritance through women's line, right, female's line. And by putting this standardized titling and registration system might actually hinder the rights of women there. It's a very one research that I found, but I think it's very interesting and a lot more that needs to be studied and understand. I mentioned that there is a very gaps in the understanding of in general about the customary tenure governance system in Laos and maybe in the Mekong region as well. And we have to really understand these diverse dynamics within them, and then introduce or develop the interventions that would actually harmonize the statutory and the customary tenure system within the communities.
Okay, Dali, you would like to share?
Yeah, this question is very interested me because before I'm learning about the gender for land governance, this question is making again and again asking by myself, how we will promote gender in our city documentation. Because when we say the city documentation, we are also respect the customary practices for the local community. So how do we promote the gender during this such a product section? This is my opinion, whatever we learn about the customary practice in different regions, we also have to be advanced understanding of their community practice. Because behind this community practice, they have the root cause of maybe they might have related with the cultural norm, religious, or maybe they have the community own rules and regulation or something like that. So we also have to deep understanding their background. And then after that, okay, we also know the understanding. How do we promote the gender based on their context? This is not like a one size fits all. We have to be adapt or we have to be developed. How we can promote gender in this different scenario, in different area. Yeah, that's my opinion. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, okay. Dr. Hui first, and then Srijana.
I think in order to overcome those challenges, we need to do further research, because I think that in order to understand what the issues are regarding, for example, like ethnicity and gender and land tenure issues, and then in order to do that, we really need like a theoretical framework. What would be the theory and theoretical framework that would back us up, so that we can share, across the countries in the region, and then in that way we can just develop our network. I think a forum like this, later on if we do research, we could share our findings, and then we learn from each other, and then I think we need to provide the policymakers evidence, so that they can bring those evidence into the policy. But we need very good, research methodology. We need, like appropriate theoretical framework or theoretical or theory to help us, to guide us to collect the data and analyze, the data, so that we could have, like a reliable results to provide the evidence to the policymakers. Thank you.
I think I'll be very brief. A lot of things already said, and I just want to remember that we're starting gender equity and customary tenure training, and we did have this question a lot of time. Darlie, you were one of the participants, and we had quite a bit of reflection. As she said, there is no one size fits all. It's all mostly out of ignorance, because the customs, how do the customs evolve, right? It's evolving through different practices, different level of knowledge, different context. And I believe that we should be able to influence those customs, and we build new customs, right? So I think like informal channels, informal discussions with the men allies, especially the village heads, were like, apart from what you already shared, were a few of the things that we discussed. And we do have the scanning for that manual today at our Recops marketplace. Please have a look at it, how gender equity and customary tenure can be linked. Thank you.
Yes, I maybe I don't want to copy. Yeah, but I agree, totally agree with the panelists. And I just would like to add, like when we are talking about the process of tenure recognition, it's about building understanding. So it's the same, like we try to integrate the gender in every work. This work also, if I will more and add about build understanding for the community. So when we promoting the gender, it's not mean like we decrease the output or result of the work, but we trying to improve or add, create the value add of our work. So this one is very, very important in the community, in the practical, in the field work, and also the communication channel is very important, because I would like to example in many cases, like we try to integrate, we try to create a policy integration, we try to design the methodology and training, but finally, when we go to the field work, when we work with the community members, it's really important, the communication channel and information inform among themselves is very important. So we need to emphasize for this step as well, because for example, like if we announce like, okay, in the case that we announce like more gender participate in the meeting, and all of them, or most of them is women. Yeah, so we try to avoid that case. So this one we also need related with the thing that mentions from you, like we need to advocate and awareness raising for community to understand about our work is very important. Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chanda. So we are actually now end of time, but maybe very quickly, 30 seconds for one last message that you would like to share to the audience, like the one last message, like 30 seconds, something that you would like the attendees to remember.
Recognize and accept achieving the gender justice. You know, it is a long and complicated process, but we should have a sustained commitment to achieve that goal. Thank you.
To me, I think that sometimes I put the example to the law and policy. Some law and policy are very gender neutral, nothing. But it doesn't mean that gender has been considered. To some cases, it's not considering at all. So I think that the message that I want to throw is that we should go beyond the law, meaning that if the law say nothing about gender, we can elaborate it more, say more, demand more. We should, especially women itself, have to be able to stand and demand for their own rights and their own power.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so for me, one statement would be like gender responsive land policies will provide spaces for justice, because land governance is unachievable without gender. So land governance should be equated with gender justice as well. And gender is not women only, again.
For me, my statement would be women are not only impacted by land governance, but they actively shape it. So that's why we must invest in in understanding their realities, promote their leaderships, and embedding their rights into every part of the land governance systems, be it from the customary to statutory. And lastly, CSO is not just a stakeholder, but we are the driver of changes. So we create changes for communities, linking communities with other stakeholders, including the policymakers, to make the reality happen at the reform level. Thank you.
For me, I think gender and ethnicity are very important in land governance. So in order to overcome the intersectional challenges, we need to do further research. So that would bring, that would provide the evidence to the policymakers, and that would be in turn reflected in the policy, which would benefit the local community later on. Thank you.
Yes, I'm the last. Yeah. Yeah, same. When we talk about the gender equality or equity, it's not about the women issues. This one is very important for me. And it's about the gender shifting the power, gender power between men and women, and especially for the marginalized group, and also shaping the equal decision making between men and women and the vulnerable group is very important in the land and forest governance. So it will be create more sustainability in the future. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Tanda, and thank you to our panelists. We had 90 minutes. We went a little bit over. I know that usually this kind of session, we have a lot to say, but last I would like to ask you to go to Slido again. We conclude the session. We want to kind of like take the temperature of the room and ask, how do you feel about the possibility to achieve gender transformative and inclusive change in the region by 2035? So you can be totally honest. We know that gender justice is a very complex issue, and it's very, very deeply embedded in people, and it relates to people's identity. So we know that it's not a goal that can be easily achievable. But a goal that is easily achievable sometimes is not as worth our effort. So just to have ending on a more positive note with this session, because I see that there are a lot of confident, there are very optimistic people in the room. There are also, it's changing, but usually it's very optimistic about the future. So you can continue to vote in the poll. And last, I would like to thank our panelists for their time and for their input. And I would like to thank attendees in person in the room, but also attendees online for listening to what this panel had to share about gender justice. So on this, I would like to conclude the session. And so we will have now the coffee break and come back at 4 for the next parallel session. Thank you very much.